This is a quick tip on Twitter activism. Um, the quick tip is to hit like on the other person's comments who's having a conversation with you to encourage them to stay engaged, especially now that we're starting to engage with a lot of Bernie supporters. Um, this came out because I just was in this conversation, and then like halfway through the conversation, I got blocked, and that was super frustrating. So I went through the whole like blame the other person thing, but it doesn't really help to just blame the other person. You always be thinking, okay, what can I do better? Because that's what you have control over, right? So what can I have done better? So I noticed that in our conversation here, um, we were going back and forth, and there was another Yang Gang person joining in the thread every now and then, and he was hitting like on my comments, and I was hitting like on his comments, and we weren't giving any love to the Bernie supporter that was talking to us. Um, so I'm sure from his perspective, it felt like we were ganging up on him. And so in retrospect, I feel a little bit bad about that. Um, so that's one place I could have done better to make the other person feel welcomed. Um, and to back it up a little bit, this conversation started out with replying to one of Bernie's posts. And the thing that rubs me the wrong way with Bernie's posts is that he likes to single out Walmart and these big corporations. And I think it's fair enough to single them out, but um, his campaign seems to be a lot of blame and anger driven. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's right. It's okay to be angry at these big corporations. Um, but anger is a strong motivator, but it is a imprecise energy, right? It can abet imprecise decisions, and which can lead to haphazard choices and policies and reactions. And I know this is subjective, of course, but that's kind of my read on how Bernie Sanders differs from Andrew Yang, right? You hear Andrew Yang also mentioning Amazon, but he only uses Amazon to point to the fact that we have a fourth industrial revolution going on, and that's the main thing that needs to be addressed. So if Bernie can somehow fan the anger of his constituents and also redirect all that energy towards focused redesigning of policy, then all right, fine. But a lot of times, his policies just sound like they have so much blame. They're so driven by anger and blame, a lot more so than Andrew Yang's campaign. So, yeah. So what happened here, right? Um, anyway, encourage the other person who's talking to you. So this is what the other thing I started doing was when I see other people getting into conversation, like over here, this thread also started out kind of like antagonistic, right? This Bernie supporters like bullshit arguments. Corporations will transition no matter how little they pay their workers. And it's just really heartening to see that so many in the Yang Gang can just not immediately go on the defense, but be able to just provide information, validate the other person's concern, even if they're voiced in a harsh way. Provide information, and eventually this person started to open up down here. He's like, "Do you have a source? I'd love to talk about it." So I went ahead and hit like on this just to encourage that. Um, so I think that's important to do, and out there in this really antagonistic environment, there's a lot of passion and emotion going on. And it's hard to stay present to the fact that we all actually have a common goal. If you chunk up far enough, no matter where you start off in your disagreement, and chunking up just means to go from specific to general, you might be disagreeing on implementation. You might be disagreeing on the specific solution. But if we chunk up far enough, we all have a common goal, which is to make this country a better place to live. And some of the more specific common goals is to end poverty, provide health care, um, you know, grow our economy, um, maintain our global leadership role. Some of those are some of the things that we generally all agree on, and everybody's disagreeing on specifics of how to do it. So yeah, just always keep that in mind. And it's hard out there, right? Like sometimes emotions are flying, but keeping that in mind, we all have the same root motivations will help. And that is all for now.